everybody. We are Sonus de Gaia, Jose Garcia, Kinsing. We are in our Gaia Live Sessions, and today this is the second episode of our interviews we are doing with really great artists. In this case, we have a really incredible musician. He also collaborated in Todo Cambia, in our first album. And right now he's in Washington, D.C. I really was waiting for this interview because he's a really good friend of mine, also Kinsing. But we met in Boston, in Berklee College of Music. He can talk more about that. But I just want to say we were roommates. And in some way we were very similar because we came from our countries and we were percussionists, drummers. So living together, we learned a lot from each other, and for me it was a great inspiration. His name is Fran Vielma, and yeah, I wanna Pancho. Hello, how are you today, brother?
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for the invitation and for the time I'm doing this. And sorry for the little delays making my coffee.
It's okay.
We're in different time zones, but we made it happen, and I'm happy to be here with you. It's great, seeing you all these projects that you have, and now you're doing, you're doing your concerts, you're doing your CD releases, and now you're doing interviews. So it's cool that you're also trying to bring some spaces for your colleagues, like me, and
Of course.
yeah, it's an honor to be here.
Of course, and Pancho, it's like I call it, it's okay, I can call you Pancho. Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys are roommates, so whatever
yeah.
You like to call is fine.
Yeah, I learned to do the arepas with you. You show me how to make them.
true.
It's so good for breakfast.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
And
true.
to introduce the audience, who are you? And you have a tremendous curriculum. Pancho is a award-winning multi-percussionist, composer, educator, orchestrator. And in 2001, you were awarded by Chamber Music America, the New Jazz Works. Wow.
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah, fantastic.
Last
And
year. Last year.
yeah. You also you are the leader of your Venezuelan jazz collective, and also you were collaborate with Javier Limón, Eggy Castrillo, Luis Enrique, many artists. And I have a question for you, going through the point, like, because you did an amazing job combining your traditions, your Venezuelan roots, and to make that great ensemble with amazing musicians in US. So I want to ask you if this idea you have it before you came to US and you studied in Berkeley, or is something that came later when you were involved in the environment? Because one thing I remember, you were really perseverant and you were very clear with what you want to do. Like, no, I want to study here and after do my master and be a teacher and keep doing with my projects. So yeah, my question is that is something that came during the road, I mean, when you arrived to the US, or is something you wanted to do it from the beginning when you were in Venezuela? And yeah, how you become or doing this project of the Venezuelan jazz collective?
Well, I think I was clear from many years ago that I wanted to get more in the fusion of that, let's say, the Venezuelan drumming culture or the Venezuelan music culture or language with jazz. I was very attracted to jazz since I was like probably 16 or 17, and then a friend of mine gave me a bunch of records, and on 2002 or 2001, I enrolled in a jazz harmony class with a cousin that is a great guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that's how I started composing things, and then checking out other people that were doing, other Venezuelan colleagues that were doing a fusion of Venezuelan music with jazz and other things. Then later on, I got together with a friend of mine, a drummer, and we started doing versions of different kinds of things. Of course, we were also interested in all the Caribbean styles as well, so we started doing some Afro-Cuban jazz because, Afro-Cuban jazz and Afro-Brazilian jazz, let's say, are like, they got discovered, or they got, like, they got commercialized way faster than any other fusions in the Americas, and they are pretty much like the pioneers of this. Especially, in the beginning of the 20th century, like 1930s, let's say, of course, Dizzy Gillespie was the first one that recorded something that was mixed with Afro-Cuban things.
Yeah.
But then, undercover, there were some other people doing things that just didn't get recorded, So of course they didn't have the exposure that DC had already, so he brought some attention to that, and that's, and we have to thank that, as Americans, because he put the spotlight on the music that was being made in the rest of the continent, right? So coming back to your question, I had ideas, on compositions, and we were encouraged to compose in this course that we were taking of jazz harmony. So we were, I was trying to compose things. I could take my cuatro, which was my first instrument. The cuatro is, I can show it to you. It's like an ukulele, but a bigger version of a ukulele. Mm-hmm. And you strum it too, and the positions are very similar to the guitar, kind of. So, on that instrument, I pretty much apply all those harmonic cadences and stuff that we were practicing, despite that I didn't have the bass, because I only have 4 strings, so it's pretty much the upper structure of the chords. But it still gives you, the idea of cadences and things like that. So that's how I started writing things. And then, I was into the Afro-Cuban percussion, and then I got invited to join like an Afro-Venezuelan traditional ensemble. And this was led by a friend who unfortunately passed, but they were doing also a lot of research around the country. So they became a foundation, they got funds from the government, and that's how they sort of travel around and were, filming, learning from the cultists. And so I sort of got into that and started getting more of the ideas on how many drums we had in Venezuela, because by then, I knew a few, but then once I got into that group, I discovered that the thing was so big, and the differences in the drums and the differences in the language of each town, the drumming language of each town or the instrumentation of each town was so different and so rich that I was like, wow, this is going to take me a lifetime to learn all this, you know. But I was also pretty confident that I was a composer too, you know, despite that I didn't write that many music back then, but I was confident that I was able to compose too. So I was always thinking on how to bring that into writing something new or things like that, and listening a lot of music. Then I moved to Caracas, you know. I was fortunate to get a record deal with a big record label back then called Cacao Music, and this is because
nice name.
Yeah, Cacao Music. Yeah.
This is like you are talking when you were playing with Diego Maldonado.
Yes. So I had this ensemble, Nuevas Almas. Mm-hmm. And we recorded like a little demo, and then we actually decided to record a whole album. And all those compositions we were getting done for the jazz harmony course we took, we pretty much built them in actual tunes, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, this took a few years, but you know, we sort of matured the idea, and then we showed it to a friend of ours in Caracas, and he put the word in the office of this record label, so we got a record deal in 2003, I think. So, well, the album took a few years, you know. Record labels, they give the spotlight to the artists that sell better, that sell faster, everything, you know, despite that it was more like Latin or jazz oriented, or let's say more, it was not like all the artists that were there were not like mainstream, you know. It was, you know, it was focused in works that had something to offer intellectually, let's say, you know. It wasn't like mainstream. But anyways, in that record label, we were fortunate to share with Jose Luis Changuito Quintana from Cuba, El Negro Horacio Hernandez, Fredo Naranjo, well, many artists also from Venezuela that had something to say that you know, that were important, you know, different genres.
So
well, you know?
In that moment in Venezuela, when you were there, like this kind of fusion, putting the traditions Venezuelan with jazz, and was pretty much in the environment when you were there.
Yeah, it was happening a little bit with people that were actually contemporary with us, with Diego and me. So, of course, the configurations of the groups were different, and none of them, I can tell you this with all the confidence, none of them were percussionists. All of them were even cuatro players or piano players or flute players, but none of them were a drummer and a percussion that can compose. That can write their own music.
That's something very interesting between Diego and you, because Diego is a drummer, you are multi-percussionist, but you were composing from that perspective too. So I think
exactly. So so that first record, that first record I did with Diego, we had half of the repertoire is focused on Venezuelan stuff. The other half of a record is more eclectic. Like say we had a blues that is swung. We had like a Afro-Cuban timba kind of piece. We had like a more world music oriented piece, and then it was you know, the second half of the album or part of the half of the album that you know, that completed the whole thing was more, you know, varied than the first half. Let's say, you know, we had 5 pieces that were focused on Venezuelan things. So then, you know, the idea got, you know, kept on getting mature. We were waiting on the record label to release our album, and it ended up being released like 5 years later after we signed.
Yeah.
So this is all learning experience.
Totally.
This is all learning. We were so young, and we were excited that we were with those in a catalog with those big guys, big names, Horacio Negro, Changuito, Alfredo Naranjo, etc. We were so excited, but then, after, years passed and the record wasn't being released and it was complete, it was pretty much on a drawer. We were like, we were disappointed, but we also learned a few of the things, like how to be an entrepreneur. Okay, so these people's not doing what they have to do, so now we have to do it then. What do we want to present this music? We want to present it here in this festival, these other things. So we try many things. So many things they say no, but so many things they say yes. And that's how you pretty much go in life, with things that you want to do.
That's something.
And some people say no. Yeah.
That's something I want to highlight when you say because sometimes or people, see you on the stage and think, oh, you are doing this, it's pretty nice. But we went through to all these, experiences where, as you mentioned, you have pretty much the recording done, but because the process with the record label, things like that. So, yeah, that kind of situations is the way we learn in the process. It's something you don't learn in the school. It's something you learn when you are taking actions with your own project. I mean, we are living that. Kinsey and me, we were going through that. And you, and all these things, when you see back, say, oh, what a process, now you get more experiences, and as you say, it's how you go through life. But anyway, just highlight that point, like you have to have patience and keep going, don't you? Because
you have to be very patient in this, whatever you are, as an artist, as an independent, and not even as an artist, as an independent entrepreneur in any field that you go in life, And we can confirm this with people that you see that they are not necessarily artists, but they are doing something, different. Let's say an architect, let's say an engineer, let's say, a banker, whatever. All the people have to have, like an ideal way of doing things or constructing things for their own project, and with time passing, going by, you start learning that things can be in the way that you dream, but they can be a little remodeled, and you're still achieving many things, and then so on and so forth. So you're, the project, the main idea doesn't change, but the project can take little curves, and, you can build from other experiences that life puts you there. Life puts you there because you need to learn that, and you need to accommodate certain things to move forward. Okay, so you accommodate, but you're still moving to that main idea. So that's pretty much what happened with me. I started that project with Diego. Then, we did a few concerts. We did many things.
Yeah.
We actually got together like a production company, and we were producing for other people. We produced like a Latin pop band by then. Meanwhile, the record wasn't out, but we were doing some of the things that were feeding us as professionals. Then, since I was in college studying composition, there was an artist in residence from Berkeley at that university, And he came for a week and taught a few master classes and brought a few catalogs from Berkeley, like how to apply and forms and things. So I was very interested in that. And I was like, maybe this is time for me to try to move forward in another direction and see what happens, So, I actually started saving money, did all the applications, in a country like Venezuela, everything was so slow and
yeah. Can imagine.
I had to be very patient on that, like getting all my grades from high school, all the grades from the part that I was already done with at the university. You had to translate that into English, then send it to Berkeley. No, send it to a thing here in the U.S. so they could convert those grades into U.S. Grading formats, and then that company sent it to Berkeley. I was telling this story to my aunt the other day, and she was like,
amazing.
"I can't believe you did all this."
I remember that, because when we were roommates, we were talking about all the things we had to go through in order to be there. A lot of patience, a lot of paperwork, translations, whatever, and also, amazing, man. But it's like that, man.
Yeah. It's like that. So anyways, I did all those things, it took me a while. So they called me for an audition. I came to the US in 2009 for the first time to do the auditions. I went also to audition for City College, but ended up not doing that audition. I sent the paperwork, but I ended up not doing that audition because there was like a big snowstorm and I couldn't be there at the time. So it was, so I only did the audition up at Berkeley. So, and did my audition there. Then a few months later, they offered me half of a scholarship to start in 2009. But, I didn't have enough money. I wasn't prepared to go in 2009. So I wrote a letter, can you hold this scholarship for next year? 2010, so I ended up coming in 2010.
Good, yeah. That's when we met.
All that year 2009, what I did, I got all the gigs that I didn't want to do. I did all of them.
Yeah, of course.
Saved a lot of money, sold all my instruments. So I came into the US with only a bongoya and a campana and a handbell. Wow. That was all what I had in my suitcase. And so I didn't have a winter coat, nothing like that. So, so with the little money that I had, I had to get like a good winter coat because it was going to be winter soon. I started in the fall, so I had to invest in a good one because, Boston is so cold.
Wow, yes.
Anyways, so all that was like hustling, a lot of hustling. But anyways, I kept that idea of okay, what brought me artistically to Boston, that I needed to learn more from the jazz tradition. I needed to learn it from firsthand. What the jazz tradition was and how, why all these people, famous people, that we admire for saying names, like Antonio Sanchez, Miguel Zenón, Danilo Perez, like David Sanchez, all these famous guys that are also Caribbean or South Americans. They were making it here and making so interesting stuff, interesting music, and why their language got so mature. So, well, because they had the two tools, they had their tradition or the understanding of their tradition, and then they had the understanding of the jazz language, a solid understanding of that. So it's if that was what I needed to do, well, I had to embark on that. So I came to Boston, try to study and on the side also developing the language of the instruments, the traditional instruments from Venezuela, but also learning other stuff from here. I enrolled for drums classes. I'm not a drum player, so it came out pretty well because I moved to an apartment in 524 Cambridge Street, and there was this drummer from Galicia who had all these instruments.
Yeah.
And he told me one day, I need a roommate in my apartment. We have this room. It was never occupied because the person that was supposed to come here never showed up. And, we're pretty organized people there, and I'm a drummer and everything. So I was like, yeah, I need a space. So that's when I moved to the apartment.
I remember we adapt that that room to make it as a room.
Exactly, that's true.
And
that's
works.
true.
Worked well.
Yeah. So anyways, it's funny because then we met, and then you were a drummer. You had a few other instruments that I didn't have, so we sort of shared.
Yeah, we share, man, what we had.
Small gear to small gear to practice some things. You had a cajon, I had a cajon, and so so that's how I pretty much. That's what I had when I came into Boston. That idea of I need to gather as much information and I need to learn firsthand from the people that know this jazz language or the African American music language, so I can incorporate into my own thing. So I did my recitals with the group. I was playing my own music, all the time, trying to write my own things, and things started to get mature, and then I was like, I need to do this project, but in a more, in the next level. So how am I gonna do this, right? Well, I have to get more organized. I have to, see who is the people that I have to call for this, so the record sounds as I imagine it in my ears and head.
That's something I want to ask you, how you choose when you made that for your ensemble, your band, jazz group.
Yeah, it was more than thinking on as a businessman. Okay, yeah, I need to call this guy so people buy my record. No, I didn't think it that way. I thought always in the way of supporting the music that I was writing. So who I need to call so the music gets understood, but somebody that has in their ears the two languages that I need. Okay. And if you see the band that recorded, not all of them, half of them are Venezuelans, but some, there is people from other countries too.
Mm-hmm.
There is a Puerto Rican, Miguel Senón. The trumpet player is from Cuba, Cuban Ecuadorian. He was born in the U.S., but he has some other music in his ear. So it's pretty much people that could understand the language of the music of Hispanic America, let's say, or the Americas, but also had a solid understanding of the jazz language. So that was my main focus on doing those calls, And well, I was lucky that everybody said yes, because I was nobody, pretty much.
I knew. So how you convince them, because I know you how you prepare the music. I know how you arrange with the finale you use finale. I listen you when we were living together. So
Yeah.
how was the process when you called them? How you approached them?
Well, some of them are were friends of friends, and some other people I had the opportunity to work with, along the way. So, for example, Angel Subero, the trombone player, he also lived in DC, in Boston, sorry. So we did a few gigs together. We know each other, and I knew that he had the experience that I needed for the group. Luis Perdomo, despite that he's been living in the U.S. for like 30 years. He left Venezuela when he was 20 or something. I not only had checked out records where he was recording, but I had friends that knew him, and through that, I sort of wrote him. I told him, well, I have this project. I have this, and this kind on the session. Are you interested in doing it? And he was like so humble, and I feel like because he trusted me, he came into the session. Same with Pablo and Sid. Pablo and Sid was also living in Boston. We did a few gigs, salsa gigs and other gigs together. So I knew that he also was was knowledgeable in the fields that I needed for that band. And Roberto Koch, the bass player, he was in my first record. And Roberto, we toured in Venezuela a lot. He was already living in Europe when we recorded this album, but he came into New York to do some other thing with another musician. So I called him, hey Roberto, you wanna do this and that? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. He was excited of seeing what I had to show him after all these years, living in the U.S. and because he knew my path in Venezuela and now internationally. So, it was cool to have him. And, and then, I had Cesar Orozco in a couple of pieces too with Cesar. Cesar Orozco is a great pianist, Afro-Cuban Venezuelan. We also worked a lot in Venezuela. He actually had moved to the U.S.
I remember
recently.
he came home, stayed home when he arrived from Venezuela. Yeah. Nice, Cesar.
Yeah, true.
Saludos.
He wasn't living in he wasn't living in Venezuela when he came to visit us, to stay with us a few days. The year after he moved to the U.S. And and that's what happens. Then Miguel Zenon, I met him at the Panama Jazz Festival.
Wow.
I was there. Yeah, I was part of the New England Conservatory Jazz Ambassadors because by that time I was doing my master's at New England Conservatory. So, and he was teacher at New England too, but we saw each other in the hallways, but just hi and things like that. But then when we were in Panama, we actually chat and had the opportunity to share. So then I wrote him, I'm Fran, we met here, I'm finishing my master's at NEC, I have this project, blah blah blah. And since Luis Perdomo is his piano player forever, has been his piano player forever. Luis also put the word, I'm doing this project with Fran, you should check it out and stuff. So that's how it all connected. I feel very lucky and blessed to have had the opportunity of people believing in what I was doing without really knowing me that much.
Yeah, by the way, I want to say that check it out, franvielma.com, his website. You have all your music. I think your website is pretty good with all the information there. So I just check it out, guys. And Mr. Kinsing, want to ask you something.
Yes, I remember that you have a lot of unique percussion sound. Can you show us some percussion that from Venezuela or different culture influence, such like
sure.
the percussion that behind you or percussion that you wanna introduce
to the audience?
Yeah, sure. So the first instrument that I want to show you is the cuatro, which is the one that I started using for composing. Yeah. So, yeah, this is an instrument that we pick when we go as kids to music school in Venezuela. You even pick the cuatro or you pick the recorder.
A recorder.
Right? Yeah. So my mom had given me a cuatro, like a very beat up version of a cuatro when I was a kid. So I already had that instrument. She encouraged me to go to the music school, and they asked me, what you play, cuatro or recorder, and I was like, no, let me get the cuatro. I have a cuatro at home. So yeah, this was my first.
¿Cómo suena eso? How is the sound of a cuatro?
Yeah, so it's a nice instrument for kids starting in music because you have the rhythm here in your right hand, and then you have the harmony here, and then they encourage us to sing, So then you're singing, you're having a rhythm in one hand, you're having the harmony in the other hand. So it's if you think in the technical point of learning this type of instruments, you're actually getting to know a lot of elements of music, right away, because you have the rhythm. So I was learning harmony without even knowing what was happening harmonically. Then when I started harmony, I was like, oh, okay, now I remember that chord I was doing that sounded so cool. That was in substitution of this one. So I started linking, and I was like, oh my God. So, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful
the understanding, right? Understanding something you already were doing.
We're clicking. Oh, this is that. So the first song I learned was Compadre Pancho. Oiga, Compadre Pancho, ¿qué pasa los años? Que la negrita del rancho con el pulpero ayer se me fue. Oiga, Compadre Pancho, lo que me pasa lo sabe usted. Que la negrita del rancho con el pulpero ayer se me fue. Ay, mi comadre, si usted la ve, dale por seguir con Compadre Pancho, vuelva otra vez. Ay, mi comadre, usted la ve, por seguir con Compadre Pancho, vuelva otra vez. So, I was learning 5/8. I was learning merengue 5/8, and I didn't realize it was 5/8 until I was, I don't know, like 15, 16.
Yeah. Actually, when you play now, I was listening to Molly. I was not thinking right now was 5/8. I just checked. Oh, it's just like nice.
Yeah, so we learned that, and then we learned joropo, which is a 3/4 kind of thing that we do in Venezuela. One of the many 3/4s we do. So, it was like like for example, for example, cuando la perica quiere que el perico vaya a misa, se levanta temprano y le plancha la camisa. Cuando la perica quiere que el perico vaya a misa, se levanta temprano y le plancha la camisa. Mi You know, like those kind of songs that are very traditional, part of the culture. You know, the lyrics are very, you know, referring to common things of a little town, you know, and some of those were actually funny lyrics, you know, so kids could learn it quick and relate it to their culture they were living in. So
nice.
That's pretty much how I started in music.
Thank you.
And so, you know, I developed that instrument, and then I got in love with the percussion. So.
What do you have there to show us?
Yeah, the first thing
what
that
toys?
The first thing that I picked as a, let's say, hand percussionist was the congas, you know.
Conga.
So, yeah, so because and why the congas? Because it was a mainstream instrument, and it was a mainstream instrument, and I was, you know, I love salsa music, I love Cuban music. So, you know, I put my hands on the conga, you know, and then I realized that I could translate that into other drums as well, you know, that technique. So that's, you know, then I started learning the other Venezuelan instruments too. You know, for example, I have here a cumaco.
What is the name?
This is like a cumaco.
Tumaco.
Yeah, cumaco. So it's like it's a trunk pretty much. So they cave it, you know. And this is like a travel size, you know. But this is really like really this high, you know, like, I don't know, 5 feet, 6 feet. Wow. You know, even bigger than a conga.
So you make a travel one.
Yeah.
Like a travel conga, travel tumaco.
Yeah, cumaco.
Cumaco, perdón. Cumaco, perdón.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah. So yeah, this can be pretty big, you know. This could be, I don't know, like 10 feet, you know, long.
Oh.
Pretty much. They laid it on the ground, the beach, you know.
Oof.
They lit some fire so the skins can, you know, dilate a little more. Yeah, so they get tension from that because they have the skin nailed to the body of the drum, and the way they do it is with fire, you know. So they do the fireplace in the middle, and then people do like a little roundabout, and yeah, they play there all night long. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's the whole party music, let's say.
Totally,
you know?
all night long.
So yeah, so you know, then I put my hands on the cumaco, and then there is another, like a smaller. This is called clarín. This is a smaller.
Clarín.
You know, and this actually you put on your between your legs like a conga, but.
Sí, tiene un sonido, it has a sound very special. It's very special. It's kind of
it has that little
frequencies, but
it's like like the overtones are very particular for this instrument, you know.
Yeah. I can feel that.
Yeah.
Very special.
It's in the family of the djembe, I could say, you know. It's the same family, I could say, with those overtones and all that stuff. The cumaco can sound more, you know, in the lower frequencies, and you actually can use your heel to push the head. Let me show you. So, for example, you sit on the drum, you lay it on the ground. Let me show you with the camera here.
Oh.
So you lay it on the ground, right? So, you use your heel a lot and you use your fist.
Nice.
Use your heel a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then, those are like more hand drumming kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the fulias. These are used in pretty much all the coast, these two drums, Of course, there are different rhythms, different chants and stuff. Then we have the fulia, which is this. It's actually 3 drums, but I have the other one in the case in the other room.
Ah, it's okay.
So 3 drums, Then the first one. So this is another thing, You start doing the back trace of the instruments. Where are they really coming from? Which drumming culture, So, for example, in Senegal, they use this technique. Almost all the drums in Senegal, you use one hand and one stick there. Whereas if you go to Togo or El Congo or some other Western African drumming traditions, it's more like hands, more like hands. They use sticks, but for playing on the body of the drums. But then the rest of it is hand, So this one is called the fulia, and they use the stick on the hand. So the interesting thing about this is, how they link each other, because each drummer is playing a part,
Yeah.
It's not all the same thing. So
you orchestrate between different drummers.
Right. Yeah. Then the bigger drum does this groove, which we call the café con pan pattern. That is very common in the country, Pan, café con 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 pan. Coffee with bread. And that's how we teach kids, That's how the oral tradition keeps the new generations learning this stuff, with
Pancho,
wording.
could you put the camera a little bit up to see your face? A little bit, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah. Then there is another pattern. And then the other drum, the one in the middle, does this pattern. So that mixed with this. And
it's really interesting, the sounds of combining the hand and the stick.
Yeah, it's like a melody. At the end, it's like a melody.
Yes.
So that's pretty much it. And then, then there is the maracas, which is one of those.
Maracas.
we were talking before the interview.
Hey, you have to send me some maracas. We need to talk
Oh, yeah.
about
What
that
happened
later.
with yours?
That's pretty cool.
I remember giving you a pair of
Yeah, but I will tell you what happened later.
Okay, don't make me cry, please. So anyways, then we have the maracas, which are used for many traditions, you know, not only for the ensembles that use only strings, which is mostly in the region of the plains of Venezuela, but also for the drumming traditions, we use maracas too, you know. But then, you know, the maracas has developed its own virtuosistic way of playing it, you know, and then, you know, you can play different things with this. For example, if you play music in 3/4, like Oroco, as I was playing in the cuatros, it'll be 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You know, so you could do a few things, you know, different approaches.
Because, you know, I imagine most of people know maracas when they see, you know, maybe in a salsa ensemble or a group like moving like that, the singer. But actually, you know, when you show me, like when we met and you started to show me the tradition of maraca players, or you know, like all the possibilities. Like there, as we talked before, like the small instruments are the hardest. I mean, the pandeiro, maracas, you know, all these small instruments that requires like precision and all these things. But also give a lot of, when you already, you know, are proficiency enough to play. I mean, you can do a lot of things with just that, you know. Like,
Like for example, the 5/8 I was telling you. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. Me fui para Nueva York en busca de unos centavos y regresaba como fuente de arrepago del norte de una quimera que atrofió y dice que ya se vive como pasa. I will your con el modo que la rechazo no quiero y la todo. A Nueva York yo voy porque hay vino. So
Ay, bueno, me fui para Nueva York. So good. Thank you.
That, right?
Thank you for showing us this amazing instrument. I mean, we could be talking all day long about music, about, I mean, all what we did. But we have a time. And okay,
sure.
To go to the end of this talking and this amazing experience sharing, and tell us, and what are you doing right now? In what projects are you involved, or what are your next steps, or you are in?
So last month I premiered my big band.
Oh.
So so I'm working on music for that format. And with that big band, I'm trying to showcase not only my compositions, but also compositions of colleagues that are within the same vision, you know, of doing things with their own music, or the music of their countries mixed with jazz. So, you know, the repertoire.
Countries. I mean, their traditions too, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So we're, you know, I'm pretty much showcasing Pan-American jazz composers, you know. So I use, there is a piece that we use for this great bass player, Fernando Huergo. So he has like a chacarera with jazz, and then we used a piece from a friend of ours that is more like Afro-Cuban inspired, and like different. The repertoire is trying to showcase different musical traditions of the Americas. So that's why I'm not only focusing on my things there, but I also want to give the opportunity to other colleagues that are doing amazing music as well. I actually played a piece by Miguel Zenón, showcasing Plena from Puerto Rico. And then, since I was awarded the Chamber Music America commission, so I'm writing music for that, and that'll be for the septet, for the Venezuelan Jazz Collective specifically.
Wow. Great. Congratulations.
So yeah, I'm busy this year doing that, and hopefully I'll get to premiere that maybe in the summer. Hopefully, that's my projection. Let's say. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the health situation.
Yeah.
And how we have to accommodate. We gotta be very flexible.
Very flexible. We
Yeah.
gotta go with the flow, man, because we never know,
Yeah.
what is
We
next.
never know.
Everything can change from today.
Yeah,
to
things
tomorrow.
can change in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Or even less. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been working on. Those two main things, and I'm teaching at a university here at Johns Hopkins University, and they have this conservatory called Peabody Conservatory. It's actually the oldest conservatory in the U.S. I think it was founded in 1800 something. So so I'm teaching there in the jazz department. I'm conducting the Pan American Jazz Ensemble.
Oh.
And also teaching arranging and jazz theory and composition.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I'm busy with that too. I actually start next Monday the semester, so I'm very excited, and I'm gonna have a few guest artists invited, one for performing and the other for speaking in my classes. So there's a lot of stuff happening despite of all this uncertainty.
Yeah, a lot of
that we have.
activities. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we will leave in our YouTube description all the information about Pancho. You can check his website. As I said before, he has his music, biography. You can check all the information. The website is pretty good, and from there, it's linked to all his platforms and all these things. And also check it out, the recording Todo Cambia. In our album, he put his traditional Venezuelan instruments and rhythms in. Yeah, fantastic. Pancho, muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much for being with us and for your time. We really appreciate. We know you are very busy with your staff, composing, arranging, and we can't wait to listen what you are doing and collaborate with you. Of course, see you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Let's keep more in touch now.
Make more music.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thanks for the time, and there is always time for sharing with the family, right?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah,
Nice.
we became family, and I always tell our stories to my mom and my sister, and how we support each other to make it through.
Yeah, let's be more in touch now and keep talking and sharing, and that's what we have to do. Keep the family.
Thank you, Chin.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Take care,
to see
brother.
you, brother.
Yeah.
Love.
Bye bye.
Take
See
care.
you
Hi,
next
Much
bye.
love.